Okay. NZA says, as weird as it sounds, I wish she was more overtly abusive so then I would know. She didn't abuse me or cheat on me that I know of, so there's no question of whether she's even a narc. Okay, so okay, this is a really great point. And a lot of people feel that way. I think I felt that way too, because it's validating, right? It's sort of like you, with that guy that I dated in high school, I was terrified of him and he never hit me. He never had to. Like, he had done enough other things where I just lived in, I mean, he had threatened to kill my brother at one point. I mean, like, crazy things. And, you know, like, you know, you have to take somebody seriously when they say stuff like that. But for a while, I didn't identify that as abusive, or, you know, I didn't know. And it almost would have been easier had he hit me. Then I would have had something physical, tangible to point to and say, see, this is a problem. And I would have felt validated. And I think other people would have realized, hey, that's a problem because you have a black eye, versus he made some threat. Now it's my word against his word. And maybe he was just being drama, or maybe you're just being drama, right? So it's a lot of people, I think, feel that way because emotional abuse, verbal abuse, psychological abuse, it's more nebulous, right? It's harder to pinpoint exactly what it is. But here's the thing with that, okay? So a person, if you're in a relationship with a person, they don't necessarily, not necessarily, they don't need to be a narcissist or an emotional manipulator in order to be wrong for you, okay? A person could be amazing. Like, they could, you know, be really great. Like, they could have a really great personality and be kind and compassionate and caring and, you know, just financially stable and emotionally stable. And, you know, you guys could have a ton in common, and it's still that chemistry is not there. Or, you know, like, you're just not physically attracted to them. So a person can just be not right for you. They don't need to be like full, you know, full out, like, you know, they don't need to be like full narcissist, right? Like, just not right for you is enough, and that's okay. So, and this goes back to knowing yourself. Like, for me, I felt obligated to stay in relationships unless something was really, really wrong. Then, and I don't know where I got that from. I really don't. But it was just kind of this, I made a commitment, so I need to stick with it through hell or high water. And unless I can prove without a shadow of a doubt that there's problematic behavior going on. I mentioned this in the last live stream. I had gone out with this one guy briefly. This was a little over a year ago. I was actually that brief relationship that sparked my blog and sparked all of this, because I was making myself nuts trying to figure out, I was seeing problematic behavior. My night terrors were kicking up again. I you know, like, feeling paranoid, not trusting my judgment. I was asking everybody, you know, what do you think of this? Is it, you know, is it him, or is it me, or is this weird, or am I weird? Like, what's going on? And somebody had said to me, you know, Dana, like, you've seen this movie before. Like, you don't have to sit here all the way through it, wait till the bitter end to get up and walk out. And for some reason, that just really resonated with me, because I guess I hadn't thought about that. Because again, like, when you're with an emotional manipulator, the good times are really good. And so it's hard to walk away from that. You know, it's sort of like, I need to experience really problematic behavior in order to let go, because the good times are so good. And it's so hard to find with somebody else because they're not real. Like, a normal person can't compete with the good times of an emotional manipulator, because they're mirroring us, right? They're studying us. They're reflecting back to us everything that we want. They're future faking. They're love bombing, right? They're doing all of these things. It's not real. Like normal, healthy people don't do those things. So there's not that level of intensity. See, our problem is we're mistaking that level of intensity for sincerity and for love, and it's not. It's manipulation. And until we see that behavior as problematic, we're going to continue to get tangled up in it. And it can be really hard to slow things down. But, again, like if a person's coming out of the gate right away and they're like, you're like, oh, ciao, Bella, like you're beautiful, you're amazing, I want to marry you, I want to, ta 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 ta. When they're doing all of that, like that needs to not be flattering, right? Like that needs to be a red flag, because it is a red flag. They want something, like, and asking yourself, this person's really buttering me up. Like, why are they buttering me up? And, and then kind of, why am I falling for it? Because it generally has to do, at first we don't know better, because a lot of us didn't even know that these people even existed. And if we did know that they existed, we thought we'd be able to see them coming, and if we did see them coming, that they'd look and act very different, right? So now that we know, okay, this is how they come across, this is how problematic behavior looks in motion, and examining our empty buckets. Because like I said earlier, it's the whole hungry hearts eat lies. So if we're feeling starved out, if we're feeling lonely or unimportant or unloved or, kind of fearful for whatever reason, I have known a couple of people now that have emailed and said that their empty bucket was the empty bucket of security, that they grew up where they were moving around a lot, or that they had a parent who was an alcoholic or an addict or mentally ill, and there wasn't stability in their house. And so they clung to relationships, and it didn't matter how bad things got, they stayed there and they hadn't realized it before until the video I did on empty buckets, but they were like, that's why I was staying. It was kind of like this inner child in them that just craved stability at all cost. But once we're aware of these subconscious behaviors, because that's the thing, is it's subconscious. I mean, right? Like once we know better, we can do better. It's just bringing this to our conscious awareness.
Lots of love to you guys. You are not alone. You are not crazy, and you really can move forward and heal from this.